Hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. Alright, we're going to start the assembly process of the F-14A FREEWING TOMCAT Twin 64. Okay, first thing you're going to want to do is put your fuselage belly up. Put it on something soft like Wesley has his on a moving blanket. I like using an old pillow. Okay, just to keep the foam up off a hard surface. Let's get you zoomed in here so where you can see a little more detail about what it is that that guy is doing right now. Alright, anchor that down. You're going to want to grab, I like the way the way they have these steps. They don't have these little baggies numbered, but it's obvious. This part here is part of the first step. If you look at the instructions, you're going to have these two little collets with these stopper screws, and that's the first thing you're going to use. So let's go ahead, back you up just a touch. Okay. Get my knife. I'm going to open that up. Keep yourself some of those little magnetic trays. Okay. I'm going to put the parts I'm going to use now in this little magnetic tray. All right. So that's what I'm using. Well, unfortunately, these are aluminum, so they're not wanting to. Okay. You're going to grab your first horizontal stabilizer, and you're going to look. See that screw right there, that opening right there? Okay. You're going to keep that opening up to the sky towards you. Drop that in there. Where you got that opening right there. Okay? And interesting enough, I was thinking this thing's going to have nothing but Phillips head screwdrivers. No, they're using a little, a little hex drive. That's like a 1.5 hex drive. Okay, so let me pause and get the right tool real quick. Didn't realize that. All right. May I have to back up a little bit. It'd make it a little bit easier if you take this collet and go ahead and screw the screw in just enough to get a hold of it, but don't all the way through. Not all the way, but not all the way through where you can see the screw hanging down in that channel there. Okay. Because that gives you something to get up to stay hold of it, stay hold of this. Okay, you're gonna drop that down in that little hole there. Okay, that little screw sticking up. Slide it on to the elevator spar, I guess we'd call it. Okay, fit it all the way down to the very bottom, all the way in. Now you got that little screw there. Now you can anchor down, and that is not coming off of there. As you can see, that's on there. So now we're going to take the other little, there's that hole there. Okay, take my little screw, I want to screw that in not enough to where I can see it coming in the channel, into that channel there, enough where it's on there. Grab my other horizontal, drop that down there like that, and feed it onto that elevator stud or whatever. I'm sure there's a technical term for that. That automatically will go into there. Okay. Alright, and that's on there. Alright, just a second. Alright, I just want to make sure that these little screws are really anchored in, and so I found myself one really, I don't know the size, just a really small little Allen wrench. Comes with a lot of these models. Didn't come with this one, and that just fits there nice and tight, because I want to make sure that that is down, because that's what holds my elevator. I mean, it's not coming off. But there wasn't like a metal channel or anything for that to screw into, just bare metal, so I want to make sure that is good and tight. I mean, it ain't coming off there. Alright. So let's flip it over. Now I've already taken the liberty. These servo connections were taped down. I've just undid that tape. That's all I've done. Okay. So you're going to get your vertical stabilizers, or otherwise known as rudders, and they're going to go the control side in. Okay. So remember, anytime you're hooking servo connections up, okay, you're always going to hook your polarity. See the yellow side of the wire and the yellow side of this wire, and how that's just going to fit together like two pieces of a puzzle. Kind of go in there at an angle. Okay, so you should have yellow to yellow. It should line up, and that should have a little click in there. You can feel it. And then you want to just kind of fish that wire back down in there. Okay, there's room for it. Okay, and it's also room up inside of here. So don't be, if you can't get it down in there, don't fret. In fact, I'm going to just pull that out, and I'm going to just kind of shove that up in there like that, so I know it's out of the way. Because the big thing you don't want any wires to get pinched. Okay, set that down in there. Okay, and then you're going to go to these screws here that are these, look like wood screws. Okay. Oh, we didn't put the fins on. That's okay. The fins were supposed to be next, but I'll show that in just a second. Okay. Empty all these into my baggie. And these, I believe, are a 1.5. Yeah. Or actually, it's a 2mm hex drive to screw in your vertical stabilizers. You just want to get it nice, snug, tight. Don't over tighten it because you'll strip it out. Just get it nice and snug tight. I'm going to have 3. 1 in the front and 2 on either side. Has a very obvious stopping point. Okay. And one thing to take note of is everything that you're screwing into has got hard plastic doubler around it. Okay, then just repeat the process for the other side. Okay. Pull that out of there. Let me tilt this camera up just a tad. Okay. Pay attention to your polarity. Light to light, dark to dark. I don't care what servo manufacturer it is. Your polarity will always be light to light, dark to dark. Normally I would take a servo tester and test all this, but I have put enough free-wing planes and e-flite planes together to trust that these servos are working. And it just screws it anyways. If it's not working, then it's just a simple matter of unscrewing this and replacing the servo, which would not be hard at all. Okay. Like I said, it has a very obvious stopping point. Don't over tighten, don't force it. It should screw right in there. If it doesn't go right on in, take it back out, realign, start over. Don't force anything with plastic models. Violence, plastic models do not. Uh-oh. This is going to be interesting. But they already thought of that, and they've got it in there at an angle. Smart. Except not smart enough. Let me pause and get in there. All right. Turn the model back over, and let's proceed with the fins. Now, you only had that one section of bag of goodies we were using, and the fins, these central, these bottom fins, have these little black screws. Okay, you get 4 of them. They're black. They match these. Now you're going to put the decal side out. Okay, and they're going to fit with a connection point on the inside, so you shouldn't see anything on the outside. So line these fins in accordingly. You're going to screw from the inside. Okay, and this looks like 2mm. This is a slightly, sorry, I'm in the way, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a bigger. You're going to be using multiple sized screws and screwdrivers. Alright, now that is, I don't know what size that is. That's fairly decent size though. Alright, let's pause while I find that. Alright, so far I went ahead and I bought one of these Benchcraft multi-tool kits. That has a little tray thing. And so far everything I've needed has been in this kit. Although it's fairly good sized. I can't read it. I'm too blind. I can't see what that says. Maybe y'all can tell. But that's what fits these. That can't be right though. That can't be right. That's an awfully big screw. Okay. 10mm KA3, but that don't. I wonder. Okay, it's the same screws as before. I kind of thought that seemed kind of dumb, but it's going to use these screws. Okay, so back to that. And now I got to change tools again. All right, got the right tool now. Sorry, thought I did enough research on this, but apparently not. The same screws that you use to put the vertical stabilizers on are the same ones you're going to use to put these fins on. That's why you got so many of them. Gotta tell you, I'm enjoying this little toolkit. Now that should just kind of poke through the other side of these little wooden fins. I'll show you what I mean on this one. Okay. Got there in the fins. Little sharp parts of those screws. Unless I was supposed to go... How would you want to bet I was supposed to go in this way? Because now I got something sharp. Pause. Okay, yeah. Don't do like I did. Screw in from the outside. It clearly shows that in the instructions, but I wasn't paying attention. Alright, now let's turn our attention to this wing contraption. All right. I'm going to take this larger piece. I want to say it's the same size that we use for these larger tools, these larger screws. I'll say it's a 2 millimeter or 2.5 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter. Okay. So they should already have some factory screws in there, and they do. Should be 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. All right. I think there's 3 of them. There's that one there. It's the same as those other screws. Okay, yeah, 1 up here too. Well, I'm going to have to get down in there. That means I need an extension. Okay. It should be. Okay. They don't have them in there real tight. In fact, I'm able to move it just by hand. Alright, but I want to collect them. This is not hard plastic. This is just foam with hard plastic reinforcement, but the body itself is just foam, so a little more fragile. Okay, now this is going to get a little tedious. This is the most tedious part of this entire build, and it looks like a 2.5 millimeter is going to get the majority of it done. Okay, for them black screws. However, we have these metal structures we're going to have to add. Okay. So, you know what? Let's put the tail like this. Okay. Now, they do this kind of in a shadow box type way of doing it. Okay, the first thing you're going to want, this is where you're going to grab this section of screws. Okay, put that off the side and get another. Have multiple of these metallic trays. Have multiple. All right, so the first thing it calls for are, you got 4 of these little bushing rings. Okay, not the one that has threads on them, just these little rings. Okay, so I'm going to open that up. Put all them in there. Okay, first thing you're supposed to do, slide a ring down to the end. Okay, on both sides. Okay. Slide all the way to the bottom there. Okay. Then I'm going to grab a wing. Okay. Go ahead and undo the wire holding your flap and your aileron and your light controller. Undo that. Straighten them wires out. Okay. This obviously, pull them out. Okay. We'll slide this wing onto that bushing. Okay. All right. Put the wires and the wing off the side there. Okay. Then you're going to take another one of them little rings. You're going to put it right on top of that wing there. Should fit right down in there. All right. Yeah, I put that little ring in. I'm sorry I'm having to read this. I'm going to look at it a little bit too. I want to make sure, because this is my model too. Make sure that down in there. Come on. Well, it does say put that ring in there. All right, then you're going to grab these structures here that have that very top here, that have the long oblong part. I'm going to have two of them. Okay, so this wing should look just like that. Okay. And you're going to take that nut. All right, this is the front of the wing. This is the front of the fuselage here. So actually, this is the other one. I'm blocking everything, aren't I? Yeah, it's going to fit like it looks. Okay, wing here, 4 connections. You got these 4 connections here. It's going to fit just like it looks. Okay. Yeah. Then you're going to take your nut, the nut, you're going to screw that on top of that. Okay. And you're going to take one of them black screws, okay, and it's going to go right here on the structure. Okay, you got that? Okay, so it's going to go right there. That is metal into metal. You want to take that wrench that they provide. I hope I'm reading instructions. I hope I'm not blocking y'all. I'm probably blocking y'all. Let me back up a little bit more. Remember, right to tight, left to loose. Get a hand tight first. This is where you break out your own tools. All right, I'm getting all the tools. Sorry. Pause. All right, I got both these brackets installed, both of the black screws installed there, both of the bolts put on with a little bushing ring underneath the wing. It's where the wing touches, then the bracket, and then the bolt on there. Okay. Now you're going to take these 2 brackets that are angled. Okay. And because of the ends of them being angled, they only going to fit one way. It's obvious. It's going to fit like this. Okay. And then this is going to lay in here like this. With the angled part where this goes down, okay, it's going to fit in there. Okay. And before you put the screws in, that is how that should look. See how this is kind of has a bend in it? It's just going to sit in there just like that. The bend. See, it has a very obvious resting place. Okay? And the part that is closest to the fuse, that gets these screws here, these multiple 2 millimeter hex drive screws. That gets all these. And that goes, remember, you're going into plastic, and this is closest to the fuse here. And that just screws into place. Has an obvious stopping point. Okay. This is just a reinforcement brace. And you're going into a hard, look, there may be a hard structure underneath that, but I mean, it definitely goes in there. And then you're going to take 2 of the black screws that has the 2 millimeter. Okay, and where it rests on that metal, just anchor that. Now, if you wanted to put some Loctite in there, you could. I would rather I'd use some CA or something. I'm very leery about having Loctite near plastic, especially near foam, because it will eat plastic for lunch. All right, now that's in there. And so when you get that step done, what it should look like, at this point, you should have the metal shiny 2 millimeter hex drive in there, and then you should have 2, and that's kind of overlapping. Okay, that's how that should look at that point, at this step. Okay, now you're going to be grabbing these brackets here. Let me angle this up just a little bit more. I have to keep stopping to look at the camera to make sure I'm showing you the right part. Okay, you're going to grab these here. Now these are going to be bridging the gap from that metal, and they're going to be going down to the fuselage. Should have an obvious way that it fits. Okay. Okay. It's going to fit like that. Actually, they're both universal. They both look the same. And this is entirely the dark black screws. Entirely these 2 millimeter hex screws. This is one of the reasons why I'm glad that I have this on a pillow here, because this will be marring up the foam big time. All right, you attach the other one. Then I'll show you what it looks like. You know what? Maybe it's just me. This is starting to look a lot like an airplane. Come on. Just want to be obstinate. That's my large vocabulary word of the day. Obstinate. Remember, if it doesn't go right in, back up out of there. Even if you have to change screws, you're going to have, I'm thinking it looks like we're going to have extra screws after all is said and done. They want to give you extras. They know you're going to lose and drop. Okay. All right. So when you're all done for this step here, before we're putting the push rod or the push rods for the wings in, okay, you should have, your first step was, I'm just going to go over one wing. Your first step was to put that very first bushing on that stud. I'm just going to call this a stud, this thing the wing rotates on. You put that first little ring in, slide on your wing, put in the next ring on top of them little ball bearings that I showed you earlier. Put in this bracket here. You're going to hook a black screw here and then your nut here. Okay. Then you're going to put in this brace with your one silver 1.5 hex drive in here into the hard plastic, and then your one black 2mm hex drive in to hook to that, and then your last final step for this wing structure is these brackets here. When you get to that point, we're now done with that. We can now hook up our wing. Okay. Now, the way this wing, electronically, this wing is going to rotate back and forth. Okay. So we have to look on the on here. Okay. All right. Everything is labeled on this control board. Okay. And I see two ailerons. Okay, so I'm going to take and show you what I'm talking about. If you look right there on that control board, it's labeled on this end two aileron slots. So that tells me that I'm going to hook up. Because after that bracket, we go to the step there, and you're going to hook it up accordingly. Okay, then it's just it's going to be easier from this point on. So let me locate everything on this board and get everything plugged in the way it's labeled on the board, and then we'll be right back. All right, FreeWing, not real happy with this, but this is how it looks when all said and done. Okay. Down here at this end, see where those two ports that show, let me get a pointer here. Okay, hold on, sorry. All right, right down here, where you got two ailerons there, okay, that's where you're going to take from one wing over there, then one wing over here, and you're going to plug in your ailerons. Yellow side towards the front of the plane. Back this way is the rear of the plane. Okay, so you're going to plug both your ailerons in there. And then this big bundle of wires here is in the way, but you see the two words that say flap? Okay, you see I've got the negative wires towards the rear of the plane, the yellow wires towards the front. And then moving down here, this is all from the wing, these two plugs here, red wire to the front, black wire to the back. That's the lights that are on the wingtips out there. Okay, so you're going to put your lights in here, both your flaps in here, and your ailerons down here. But there's, like I said, very tight. You're going to kind of push wires out of the way. So just be careful. Don't. And I can see what they should have done. In my opinion, they should have took these wires, go ahead and had them in, and have you small pigtail connections to hook to. And then, but that's just my opinion. And then when you get all done, route your wires through these things here. So that way they see, that way it's the wing doesn't interfere with the wires, and you get full deflection, and it's not pulling on the wires. I mean, you can pull out, just get a little bit of play, but you don't want them to get crimped in any way. Okay. All right. So now let's install our ball links, which should be these right here. Okay. All right. Now this step here is also not really tedious, but you have to pay attention to it, and it does not address that, because you go right to putting the cover on. You have to take the cover back off. Okay, well, then I'm going to, okay, yeah, okay, all right. These two metal geared servos, these big metal geared servos, are already in the end position, pulling the wings, and then okay, so as if they swing out this way, it's going to push the front of this wing in. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hook up my ball link there, which I probably should have already done that before. Dang it. I didn't say anything about that. I guess they probably just assume. Alright, that's hooked on there. Alright, I'm going to have to extend that to reach, so I'm going to lessen the travel, make it a little bit longer by loosening it. Alright, so turn it a little bit too. It's in there tight. That's not going to work like that. All right. That's not really on there good. All right. All right. Okay. You shouldn't do that with a servo. But that, to me, that's going to come off of there. Yeah, there we go. Make sure that it's completely, that ball link was kind of just riding on the top. Make sure you press it all the way in to make sure that's completely in that ball link. Okay. Now I've got to make it longer. Okay. So get it on that ball link there. Okay, that's on there. Like I say, make sure that you got that satisfying snap feel sound. All right, so them all the way out. That should be right about there. I don't like the fact I'm having to move the servo. All right. All right. Hopefully that, we can always adjust it later. All right. All right. I might be making a mistake there, but okay. Not going to put that cover on just yet. this is where I'm going to take a servo tester, a variable swept wing. That should be one lead for that. I would hope it's just one lead. I mean, why would you do something like that independently? Okay. This is where you need to have a powered servo tester on hand. Okay. All right. Variable swept wing. I only see the one plug for it. Okay. Stop. Stop. Okay, hold on. Let's pause. All right, I got a different servo attachment, actual good one. All right. Wings are all the way in, and these look like they're even everywhere here. Everything is good and solid. Okay. Nothing appears like it's binding or anything. All right. All right, that's all the way out, halfway in, all the way in. Okay. I'm glad that one wire controls that. All right, we're going to run with that. All right, so at this point, I feel confident to put the cap back on. Okay, let me make sure that we're not skipping a step there, because it didn't say anything about putting in push rods on. It may have said it. Okay. Connect the wing, servo cables, blah, 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 blah. Fixed white plastic buckles that we talked about. And then extend and connect the design channel, connect the designated channel of the control board. Please refer to the direction of the control board, refer to page 9, blah, blah, blah. Repeat it, but okay. After installing the main wing, connect the control board, the ESC, adjust and test all electronics parts are okay. And then, okay, which we just did with the wings. And fix the, okay, it does talk about it, just tells you to do it. Doesn't say, doesn't show you a picture. All right, so now we're going to attach the wing part. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. And you have 6 screws, looks like 6 screws left. Nope. I got 5. That means I'm missing a screw. Or there might still be a screw in this thing here. No, I'm missing a screw. I'll have to find the screw. Either that or I've just got a screw loose, which I'm pretty sure I've got a screw loose. I've probably got several of them things. You know, they're all in my head too. All right, so. All right. So let me pause while I can do that. All right, well, as it turns out, I did lose a screw. I don't know where it's at. I'm sure I had it. But I happen to have another machine screw that was very similar in length, and it fit in that hole there. So I do have all 6 screws in there now. So at this point, the only thing left to do at this point is to put on is to glue on all the peripherals, pylons, and all that good jazz, which is just your basic gluing things on. But that's the basic build, very basic build of the F-14A Tomcat by FREEWING. And I'll have to, of course, I will review this video and go over it with a fine-tooth comb. I'm not going to redo it. So if I'm out, if I'm blocking the camera a whole lot, then I just won't have a build video. And you will know it because I won't produce it. But I'm thinking we're done now. And we'll go ahead with electronics. And, well, you know what? I could go ahead and glue all that stuff on. Let's turn our model over. And, yeah, because I do need to do that. I forgot about that. Okay, you're going to have to screw on some of these things. Alright, let's take a look. Bottom of the model. That's your nose cone. Alright. These pylons here, they're going to fit keyed okay, these go in at an angle like that, and that's these 1.5 meter or 2 millimeter hex drive screws. Screw these in. All right, make sure I'm putting these on right. They kind of have a cutout for the wheel, so it's kind of obvious how it goes. Okay. Goes in there like at an angle. I will tell you this, there's a big difference between just putting these models together and then trying to film, because you're having to split your attention between paying attention to what you do in a very expensive, nice model and doing it right, and trying to make a presentation. And I wish one of these days I'm going to have to talk my wife into filming these things for me. That'd be a lot nicer if I could just concentrate on building and then say, hey, wonderful camera, precious, zoom in on this, zoom in on that. Okay. Nose cone. Alright, and these, well, somehow these attach, but I'm going to assume, oh, okay, cool. Alright, these attach on there. I figured you have to take those missiles off of there. You can't screw through them. Okay. I do like the fact that this is all screwed on, because these are kind of aerodynamic, so you could leave all the missiles hanging off. And I guess if you don't want to have any missiles and have more of a clean look, you could leave that off of there. But if you're not going to be packing for bear, you know, these are, it looks like they're universal. They probably go either way. I sure hope so. Okay. So let's see. I don't have any. I've only got 3 screws left, but there are many steps involved. So. I will be giving this plane a clear coat, so I'm not going to do those other glue peripheral bits on. Just going to slide all these missiles on. Okay, let me get the rest of these missiles here. All right. Which way did they go? You got your... Okay, so the larger one goes to the inside, and the sidewinders go on the outside. The smaller ones go on the outside here. Oh, that's cool. Very cool looking. I'm going to have to fly with the ordnance on at least one time. I know typically I don't like flying with ordnance on. It creates so much drag, but once I fly this plane, you know, 300 or 400 times, then I'll probably fly with the ordnance. All right. So other than the glue on, the little antennas. Okay, there is one more glue on piece, and that's this thing here, and it goes right up front here. All right, now that's what they included. Anytime you're gluing any foam to foam, score it up. Okay. That's going to just fit down in there. I'm going to assume that's like a camera mount or a sensor or something. You military buffs, puncture the glue. You military buffs can tell me what that is. I don't know. So. I want to tell you something. The Griffin, the JOS 39 Griffin, I did the maiden on it. I'm going back to the drawing board on that one. That thing scared the living dog mess out of me. Because I've never flown that. I had the full functioning 100% throws canards. Woo, boy. A little stringy there. Get some air in there. Go back down. All right. Okay. So, those missiles don't really stick down on that foam there, on that pillow. But that is the basic completed, other than those little bit of peripherals. So I'm going to give her a clear coat, and then I'll glue those things on, then I'll give her a clear coat. But that is one mean looking. I'll be hooking up the horizontal stabilizers when I do the radio setups, because that's why I want to make sure my servos are centered. All right, well, that's the basic build. I'm going to show you where I'm going to install the receiver before we go. I'm going to be using a Limit RX Gen 2 10-channel receiver that I just got in the mail today. And it obviously can't go here. There's not enough room, not without carving, so it's going to have to go down in there. And what I was saying, you put the battery further back, so it's going to have to go there. Okay. Now, I will not be activating stabilization in this receiver. I'm just going to be using it as a basic 10-channel receiver. I mean, this is $499. It cost me $499. This is $53 with Motion RC. Okay, camera cut out on me. Well, anyways, I'm going to be putting the 10-channel Gen 2 stabilized, or not, I'm not going to use this, just this basic channel receiver in here. I'll go and install all the wires, get everything going electronically, and then we'll come back and I'll do the radio setup, and I'll hook up the elevators, and we'll go over the radio setup, and I'll show you everything I did, how I did the wings and all that. That'll be the radio setup video. And there you go. Thank you. Sorry we got cut. This is the first time I've ever done a build of this complexity with the foam. So bear with me. I did the best I can. If I'm blocking the camera so much of it that I won't even use the video, but then you won't know. Go in the future and see. All right. Well, folks, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all, and we'll be right back with a radio setup. Bye-bye. Be my radio rates and CG.